I just think that we go through so many really kind of deep philosophical things in this class that it's worth maybe having it to look back on. So it's not a big deal for me to record it, so I'm happy to do that.
How do we
you.
access it? Do we
I
simply
will send you
use?
the recording. Yep, I have to
Okay,
upload
great.
it. I have to upload it to YouTube because it's too big to share it in any other way. But
Great.
I don't care. I mean, for me, nobody's going to find it on YouTube. You're only going to see it if you find my link to it. Okay, so a couple of things that I wanted to share with you. So first of all, it's so interesting for me to think about a syllabus for this class. And as I said, I want to tailor it to you all. And yet I feel like, because this is a very particular kind of class, where the goal is to help you develop something that you can just, it will take a while. I mean, this is kind of a novel concept because we are used to, especially as adult learners, taking one-off classes, one-off.
Right.
This, I'm hoping, will sustain you through all. And I hadn't really thought about spending time on a particular concept like composition, but I'm happy to. So I'm really glad, Anne, and also Susan, that you brought it up. And sounds like, for others, it might be really good. So we will do that. We will have a whole class on composition. But my intention, of course, is to, give you, what is that wonderful motto about give someone a fish and they'll eat for the day, but teach them how to fish and they'll eat for a lifetime.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I'm after here.
Right.
But, again, it is like developing a habit like anything else. So you can think of this kind of comparable to, developing a yoga practice or a meditation practice, or even, an exercise practice, or in anything, that is important to you, how to integrate it into your life so that it becomes something that, you can always go to, that it's there for you, and how you can get into it. Even if you have to leave it for a while, getting back into it, some of these exercises are ones that you can rely on to get you back into it, right? So I just wanted, oh my gosh, so I don't want to talk too much, and yet I also feel like it's really important. What I want to do first is to keep our habit of doing this 10 quick, very off the cuff kinds of exercises that are the rule-based exercises that we began last week, which I told you every week we're going to do this because I do think that this is a perfect time for it. This is the kind of thing that I think left to our own devices we may not do, but I think it's really important to do it. So before we get any further, before we go back to our talking, I'd like us to do this. So I created let's see, I created this new rules for you, and I decided that I'm going to do the rules because I think that it will save time if I do them. And also, any one rule is as good as any other rule. Like, the reason for this, I'm not trying to give you these rules to do anything particular about a composition or painting or anything like that. What I'm trying to do is to free you up and have us just kind of run through these things, not judge this stuff, do it quickly. So in the next half hour, here, let me share my screen with you. We are going to make 10 more paintings, and these are your rules. So I'm going to leave these up on the screen for a while until you sort of get it. But you're going to paint each of 10 small sheets of paper. So today, I would say working at about no bigger than 8 by 10, and even you could even work half size, 8 by 10 or 4 by 5. Yeah, 8 by 10. 4 by 5 is fine. They don't have to be big, but paint each of 10 small sheets of paper using a color, one color for all the sheets. Pick a color that you have a strong feeling about, positive or negative. Okay, so maybe it's, I always think pink is a button pusher of a color. Some people love it, some people hate it, but it's strong feeling, because that's good. To have a strong feeling about something on these, rule-based paintings or rule-based artworks is a good thing. So you're going to get those 10 sheets of paper, You're going to color everything the same color so that it will dry quickly. And also because we tend to have white. If we don't say a color first, everything is going to be white in the background. So this is to get rid of the white. Okay, so you're going to do that real first. Then you're going to find a book in your house, open it up to the very first page, find the third word in the first paragraph, and write it in any way you want to on each of the 10 pieces of paper. So this could be big, this could be small, this could be handwritten, it could be all caps, all capital letters, it could be written with your left hand. I mean, it's interesting to think of all the possible variables. And you have a word, hopefully it won't be the, but it might be the. But the point is, it doesn't matter. You've got it, right? So that's the number 2 rule. Number 3 rule is to take one of last week's 10 pieces, cut it into 10 pieces, and glue a piece onto each one of your new pieces. And then your final rule is to add a black circle to each piece. And again, you're in charge. Where you add it, how you add it, what you're doing to add it. Might be paint, might be a marker, might be chalk, charcoal, crayon, whatever you do. Might be big, might be small, might be a complete round circle, or maybe it's an outline of a circle. So all I'm giving you are ingredients. It's like, go bake a cake with these 4 ingredients. Everybody's cake is going to be different. Each cake is going to be different. You're going to bake 10 cakes here with the same ingredients, but they're all going to be slightly different because of what you decide to do with them. Okay, questions?
Yes, I have a question.
Yes, Tally.
On number 3,
Yes.
believe it or not, I'm not remembering at the moment that we did last week's 10 pieces. Remind me a little bit about them. I was so focused on the photographs.
Yeah. So no, the pieces we did in class, Tally. Remember we did those rule-based paintings at the beginning. They were just really random. And if you don't have them, don't worry. It's okay. You can substitute some other rule. But the point with the rules is that you don't have to stare at a blank sheet of paper. That is surely hard for all of us. This is random. I'm giving you these rules. It's meant to just kind of be something rather than nothing. It's always easier to start with something. And these are your somethings. Anybody? Okay, another question.
Paper, okay? Any kind of paper or not?
Any kind of paper, anything at all. Yeah, anything at all is totally fine. And the other thing is to not overthink this. Okay, so at 11 o'clock, we are going to reconvene and you are going to be finished with those 10 pieces of paper. So that means you have about 3 minutes for each one. So that's not a long time, but I want you to make that all happen. Okay.
Okay.
All right. This is an exercise in don't think, just do. All right. So I will see you all in half an hour. You can turn off your image on the computer. You can just make your own self your little private space. It's totally fine. You can play loud music. You can do whatever you want to do to make yourself comfortable. It doesn't matter to me. This is just so that we do it, so that we really do have that experience of this randomness, but trying to do this and trying to make each one different and yet still same recipe. Okay. I'm going to mute everybody here, but if you need to talk to me for any reason, just reach out. I'll be here.
Adria?
Adria, the directions for the assignment have disappeared.
Sorry, I will make them come back. There you go. Oops. Hold on, hold on. Okay, there we go. Give me about 10 more minutes, everyone. Okay, just a couple more minutes. What I'd love for you to do, if you can, once you're complete, is to just take a photo, if you can, of, either 5 and then 5, or one whole picture that includes all 10 of them, and just send it to me via email. So adriarch@gmail, you know what that is. That way we can just get a glimpse of what you've been working on. And this is not in any way a critique. This is just, let's see all the different varieties of things people came up with, because I think that that is part of this class, is to share with each other this journey of, trying these kind of spontaneous, I think they might be very strange, different kinds of exercises than you've ever done before with each other. All right, so we'll just give everybody another couple minutes to do that. Finish up the best you can. Take 1 or 2 photos of the works all together, and just send them to me via email, and we'll see what happened. Okay, everybody, we're going to wrap it up, and go ahead and send me those images, so that we can all just take a quick peek at what has occurred in the last half hour with this assignment. And you guys can all unmute yourselves too, if you would. Thanks. Great. Go ahead and unmute yourselves, and let's see what happened. Very good. All right, everyone.
How quickly are you receiving them?
Let me see. Okay, hold on a second. Let me see what we've got. Oh, we got a couple. Tally, I've got you. I've got Laurel.
Mhm.
I've got Anne. I've got Connie. Good.
Second set of 5.
Okay.
Close, close. I can find them.
good. I'm hoping that, this is a sort of model of a practice that is, it's something that you would do each time you came to do your work. It's a way to loosen up, to kind of free yourself from preconceptions, to just get involved in the actual making, which I think is a very important part of our class too, that I think we could easily spend a whole time just talking and looking, but I feel strongly that it's really an important thing to touch base with the actual making and to practice this sort of exercise of giving up, just making without judging, or at least trying to not judge, and to just allow, within the framework of these rules, to just to experiment. Because I think these are probably ways that you may not think about starting. Your process might start somewhere else. So let's just take a quick peek. Tally, thank you for getting yourself up there so quickly. All right, very fun. So as we see, the got rid of the white, which was the purpose of this. You included all of the rules, and
Except one.
You broke the rule, which is
I know,
great.
so
That could be a
The
rule.
next, I broke several rules, but it was fun.
Good, good. And that's what it is. It is fun. It is listening. We're not judging these. These are really just for you. This is that exercise, that, and she says it has one more. So let's just quickly look at. You had your last one. Oh.
I'd forgotten the circle, so I added it.
Okay. Okay, great. Yes. So, and I noticed too, you have the word written here too. So, I mean, yeah, these are not judging. These are just, you did this, you paid attention, you just got to kind of see, all right, Laurel. So after, I love it, and maybe not, this exercise made you think about something in a different way, that is very possible that happened, that it's a way of working that you might never have done before. And, it also alleviates the stress of having to come up with something, if you just find rules that are random, it's a way to begin. And, I find it very freeing that, myself to do that. Here's Anne's, you got your first 5 here. Great. Yep. And very fun to see how everybody, you take these and you do with them what you will, which is exactly, the idea. Here's a second 5 that Anne did. Yep. Great. Very fun to see all the different ways. Some people are choosing to keep the circle the same. Some people change the circle. Let's see, Connie's. Yes, we are doing this really quickly.
Mine's upside down. I did send you a right side.
Okay, no worries.
Right
It actually doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
I guess it doesn't really, does it?
No.
It's delightful either way.
Yeah.
I see a face.
Yeah, very good. So yes, all these different possibilities, different potentials that are all part of that, another one here that you did.
No, that's the right. I put it right side up.
Right side. Okay, great.
And
Yeah.
it was a nice word, delight. I couldn't believe that was the third word.
Yeah, so that was a happy accident, wasn't it?
Yeah. That one.
And
Let's do it.
yeah,
Delete
and
that.
some of this is, being true to being,
Oh,
saying, okay, that's the word I got. Did you get fascinating?
Classically.
Oh, plastically. Wow.
Classically.
Classically. Yeah. Great word.
And
Yeah.
I added another rule. My 10 pages were that brown folding paper, the
Yes.
packing paper,
Oh,
and
great.
they were all attached.
Fabulous. Oh, fabulous. So you left them attached,
Yeah,
like to be a book almost, right?
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great, Tammy. This is just to see the variations, just to notice you guys are all in the same boat, probably cursing me out, which is fine. That's what I'm here for. But, there really is a reason, method to my madness to, kind of get you out of your comfort zone, and to
Yeah.
get you to try different things and to see how you can really use something like this to get you started from, maybe not having something that's calling to you at the moment. So sometimes just getting started is all you need. For me, I know that this works. When I've been in between series, I throw up 10 pieces of paper on the wall and I just attack each one the same way with different variables. It's wonderfully freeing and it can just kind of get you started.
Mhm.
Okay, so there's that. What I want to do next is, to get back to this question of what. And as I said in that last email that I sent, one of the things that I'd love for you each to do is to think about what might be a possible project. And again, this is a prototype. There are thousands of different possibilities, especially if you haven't got something that, some of us do, some of us might not, where to start on a kind of a project that can take us through the next 7 weeks that will be this prototype part of a practice. That's something that you're going to try to focus on. And I've always felt that when you are trying to have a practice, part of that practice is going into depth into something that you want to explore. It's different from art classes where today we're going to do the still life, tomorrow we'll do the figure. It's more than technical. It kind of addresses, well, why do I want to be making my work anyway? And that is often the kicker, that's the scary part, to commit and to have something to commit yourself to. Because but also to know that as adults we've led complicated, interesting lives full of every kind of emotion. It's rich with possibilities. And all one needs to do really is to kind of pick something out of that multiplicity of experience and go deeper into it. And there are many different possibilities. Like, it doesn't have to be scary or hard. Some people find that the last thing they want to do in their practice is to go dig down, into the dark recesses. That's fine. Some people find that in fact is the only thing that is worthwhile for them. It takes all kinds, and there is no judgment about what you choose. It's just to pick a path for a while and see where it takes you. That's simply it.
Yeah.
So to show you one of my many paths that I've done over the course of my practice, I thought it might be helpful for you to see what I've done in that kind of a case. So I actually had a PowerPoint presented that I made for another class that I was teaching early this past year called Series, which is kind of the same class that this is. Funny, but I do sort of have a thing that I feel is, is important, and that is this practice. So let me take you back to about 12 years ago now. Maybe let me see. I think it was further. It was 2006 or 7. My son, I have 2 kids. I have one who's now 36 and the other one is 33. But at the time, my son, Josh, had left for college. And just to give you a little bit of a peek, he was, his child rearing was very hard for me because he was very oppositionally, had issues, just growing up, and it was difficult. And after he left, I was in his room looking through some of the books, the high school notebooks that he left, trying to see if he'd ever written anything that could be a clue to his inner life, because I'd never really found that. And what happened was, instead of writing, I found pages and pages of doodles like this in his notebook. And I'm like, wow, this is incredible. What is this? What is this, some kind of language that I should be paying attention to? Why are there doodles everywhere? What does this mean? So I had been playing with the idea of enlarging through using an overhead projector, found imagery. And this is an example of something. And this is a big piece of paper. This is actually a couple pieces of paper glued together to create a scroll that's probably about 6 feet tall. Here was what you're looking at. And as you can see, I used old-fashioned.
Are we supposed to see a
Oh
image?
God! Oh my God! Yes, you are. Oh, sorry.
But we don't see it.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you guys. Thank you. I just didn't. Oh, so sorry. Okay, but anyway, you got that. You got a good preview. All right, so that gets that down to here. So let me share my screen. Okay, there we go. There we go. Okay, so
Oh, wow.
thank you for telling me that, you guys. Oh, so sorry. Anyway,
Wow.
yes. So let me just show this slideshow here. Go back to the beginning.
Wow.
Okay, so these are the doodles that I found. Right, and this was very peculiar to me. What to make of this? I didn't find any poetry. I didn't find any little essays or even like words. I just found, in the corners of every corner of every piece of paper that he'd taken notes on, and in the backs of his notebooks were covered with these doodles. And this is where I thought, okay, this is a language. Pay attention. So I had said, and there's more of these things, and they're strange. They're kind of made with very tightly with a hand, very tight around the pen or pencil, right? This was like, okay, what is this? And I had said that at the time I had been working on found imagery, taking old pieces of wallpaper and things like that and photocopying them onto clear pieces of transparent, plastic, and then projecting them onto my painted surface. And so that's what I was kind of doing. But then I thought, oh, I could do this with some of this imagery. And what would that be like if I did that? What I wonder. So this is, I kind of, I sort of skipped a bunch of different iterations of this. But suffice to say that I decided to work with Josh's doodles and decided that each one was like this icon, that it was maybe a letter of an alphabet, or it was some, like a glyph, like almost like the Chinese character, that each one might have meaning for me. And so I did that, and I started to do what I had said I was doing before, which is to photocopy. And these were tiny little doodles. I mean, they're like a 1/4 inch at the most, maybe a 1/2 inch. Some of them were. They were tiny. But when you photocopy them onto a clear sheet of plastic, you've probably seen these. You can run them through your printer. I was able to put them on an overhead projector and project them much larger onto my painting surfaces. So I decided to do that. What you're seeing here are kind of the finished products of this, but as you can see, each doodle ended up being front and center.
Mhm.
Then what I started to do was to project them on pieces of pieces of paper that I had colored, painted first, done different things to first, but then on top of it all were projected these doodles.
Wow. I forgot.
And then I took those doodles, did them on large sheets of big paper, and changed the color behind them and made them, I sort of used the shapes of those doodles as compositions.
Mhm.
And then I took those doodles and I projected them onto pieces of wood, and I cut out the shapes of the wood. And so these are the inner shapes of the doodles all connected. Just to say that, the doodles became my theme, and I worked with these doodles for 10 years.
Mhm.
So it became, what I used in this work as the underpinning. And at first I didn't really know what I was doing. I was just, as I was between projects, I was between things. And as I said, the doodles that were so meaningful to me, they were a connection to my son. First just became, first were like, well, what is this? And then later they became like, okay, this is a dialogue I'm having with my son. That ended up to me looking like pieces from a galaxy, or, you know, these strange shapes that, you know, were really ended up being pretty meaningful to me. They still never really, they spoke to me only that they were a dialogue to my, you know, and with my son. And I did tell him that I was doing this. And, you know, at the time he was young, he was like 18, 19. He thought, okay, fine, that's weird, Mom, but sure, whatever, you know. But to me, they really were my way of having this conversation with him. So this is just to show you that over and over again, this was what was driving my work. So, and then it began to change a bit after, say, 5 or 6 years. I began to see that I could continue to play with these. Like, there were endless possibilities within these shapes. Like, for me, they ended up being, you know, I could do them really big. I could do them on top of other colors. I could mix and match them. This was a barcode that I then enlarged, and found that that was really an interesting counterpart to this kind of thing, that it also began to look like other kinds of language. So, you know, this is me when I was doing those years ago, different haircut, different everything, you know. And this extended to a mural that I did, and a way of working with collaborative with other people. So here I'm working on a mural that I still up at Lesley College, Lesley University, at the Porter Square building. And I worked with a class of art therapy majors. Art education majors. And I asked them to listen to a story that I read to them and have them doodle inside of a paper bag while I was reading to them. And that was the way, so I gave them a pencil and a piece of paper, and it was inside a bag so they couldn't see what they were doing, which was a way for me to elicit doodle. Like, you know, I can't ask someone to do an unscripted doodle, you know, that becomes all of a sudden a drawing, and then it becomes, you know, something that I know someone else is going to look at. So I had to get them to do something like my son's doodles in a way that was going to elicit the same kind of free association that my son was maybe doing when he was working. And so I took those doodles that this group of students gave me, and I chose ones that I thought would be interesting to enlarge. And then they helped me enlarge them, and they helped me kind of create this mural that included their doodles. So that was really, really very interesting. And the whole point of the doodles is that when you project them on the wall, we paint them in exactly as they are, so that you get all of the different little, you know, ways that the pencil skips, and, you know, the interesting shapes that, you know, the lines make when you're enlarging something so big that it becomes completely distorted. But that was part of the beauty of it. This is just more of those three-dimensional doodles. This is more. So now you see, you know, the way that I've taken the pieces of paper and began to work sculpturally, which, if you know my work now, this is some 12 years later, I've kind of gone back to that way of working. And because there was something there for me way back then that I found really interesting. And then I began to cut out those doodle shapes here. So this is it was still a rich source for me. It's still a rich mine of imagery. And this is these doodles,
Wow.
printed, painted on paper, adhered to a foam core board and hanging. And now, you know, my work, again, I'm back to the hanging sculpture. So there were seeds in that work that were things that I found, you know, so interesting that I've come back to them with a different set of imagery. This was the same hanging pieces that were hung up in Porter Square at the CVS. It was like a little installation that I did. And there's a little tiny fan in this, you know, room that made these things move, which again is something that I brought back to my work. So seeds of these things are there. They're going to be there. Oops. Poor Connie. So iterations. This is the kind of thing that, like I'm just showing you my process, that stood the test of time and ended up being, you know, again, did this with another group of students based on this whole idea of my son's doodles. Same thing. These were high school students that I work with at the Danforth Museum, and did the same thing. I'd read them poetry, and inside of a paper bag with a piece of paper and a pencil, they were doodling, and I collected their doodles and we used them. This is the old Danforth Museum before they moved to their new home now. And this was another way that their paintings ended up being part of a larger mural. So it's not just the doodles that he did, but the way that you can then take that and iterate, you know, and sort of riff on that. So done with my son's doodles, how else can I collect doodles? What else is there that's interesting to me about this whole idea? And these finally were the doodles writ large. So I had them laser cut out of plastic to hang on the wall, which relates very much to what I'm now doing in my work. So there it is on black on black. This is a piece of plexiglass painted black. This was his doodle, this tiny doodle. This is like 10 years to this was the end of the whole series. I just said, okay, that's it. And these are, you know, what happens when you put them outside?
Are these plexiglass or foam core?
These are actually, these are wood. These ended up being, what is that called? Particle
Plywood?
board. Particle board, yeah.
Particle board.
Yes, but still laser cut, which is the only way that you could actually have this done in the exact same way that I meant it to be, where every little nuance of the line ends up being important. These were directly from his doodles.
Well, how does he react? He must really be honored that you did that, and maybe it's increased his interest in creativity. What do you
Well,
think?
what it has done is it ended up being a real link between him and me that,
Yeah.
you know, we don't talk much now about, we don't talk at all about it, but at the time that, you know, I had done these, you know, I felt that I was communicating to him, and I think that I hope that he felt that his little doodles were so meaningful to me that I ended up making art about them, you know.
That's cool. Very cool.
So anyway, that's that.
Wow.
But I
Wow.
show that it,
Mm.
you know, as an example of how our art doesn't have to be from something intrinsically beautiful. And I think that's sometimes where we get stuck. And I'd just love to hear what your thoughts are about the place of beauty in your own art making or your desire to make art. And while we're talking about this would be a great time, I think, just to take individually to chat about thoughts that you might have about something that you think could be really engaging for you for a while. So let's do that. Let's start with Susan, because you're on the top of the screen. Yeah, what are your thoughts about beauty in the importance for you to make something that's beautiful and what that means to you, and then maybe some ideas that you have. And I don't want us to go too long, so I'm going to give everybody about 3 minutes to talk.
I think beauty is very subjective. I found that when I go to museums with people who are artists, you go to a museum differently than if you go with just a friend who is not an art maker. And every artist seems to have their own sense of beauty. So it's hard for me to say how important it is. In my work, I don't think my work is beautiful. I think it's sometimes colorful, sometimes dark. I don't need it to be beautiful. I just need it to be balanced or composed properly or something like that. As far as a possible theme that's the next thing you wanted to talk about?
Yeah.
I have been seeing your thing about a series. I did do a short series that I might want to adapt and go on with. And it was being contained and released, things being contained and released.
Yeah.
And right now I feel like my life is very amorphous. and
Yeah,
I want to add structure to it. So I think that whole idea of containing and releasing would be very relevant to me right now.
I think that's a great one because too, it's very open-ended, you know, there's nothing about it that really pins you to one thing or the other, but it's a very great, you know, a very good sort of overall theme, you know, that has many possibilities in it. I think that's great, Susan. So yeah, write that down or just keep it in mind. And then what I'm going to be doing after this class is sending you an assignment that has to do with beginning on this theme. It almost, you know, and I don't want anybody to worry too much about, you know, if you decide on something that isn't quite right, you can change it. But the idea is to try to stay with it for a while, and we're going to work on iterations of it. So Tally, tell us all, you know, what do you think about the concept of beauty and how important is that, you know, to you in making your work, and then some ideas that you might have.
Yeah, it's a difficult question to answer. I was looking around my studio room as you were talking. I wrote down 4 words as I was thinking and Susan was talking. I know what I'm loving right now, which is gesture. Whether it's gesture of the figure, gesture of a building or a room, but so I'm loving line drawing right now. And I like to be as spontaneous as possible. Just keeping my critique in line. The best way to do that for me is to work fairly quickly. I also sort of have as a mantra right now, reckless, in other
Yes.
words. And you've in a way taught me that, Adria, that, you know, before thinking too much about the mark you make, go ahead and put it down and see what it looks like. And again, intuitive. So I spend a lot of time walking, and I am not 100% clear how the walking and what I see is affecting my work, but I'm curious about it. And I also know that I look for the humor in things. So even when I'm walking, some kind of coincidence thrills me. Whether I actually get at this point to represent that, whether it's a line drawing or what, I don't know. But that gives you a general sense, I guess, of what
So
I'm thinking.
there's a lot there. I mean, gesture is a good one. And that
Mhm.
also has a lot of, you know, a lot of possibility within
Yeah.
the word.
Yeah.
So I pick something if that, you know, yeah, and we'll see, and you'll see.
Yeah.
But that's
Yeah.
great, yeah. Let's see, Anne, tell me about you. What do you think about beauty?
Well, about beauty, I know I don't have any strict definition of beauty. It doesn't have to be pretty or colorful or so. I think I'm gonna have to think about this more, but
Sure.
I'm thinking about what I'm attracted to looking at and what I keep coming back to and
Yeah.
the elements are. And one thing that just for, like my friend said, you've been talking about that for years and years. I'm fascinated by like the stone walls in Vermont or other places in New England, just the piled up stones. I think I'm interested in repetition, kind of. So repetition, but variety within the repetition. And I sometimes I do draw a pile of stones, but then I think, oh, this isn't interesting enough for something like your doodles. There's lots going on, but I mean, I like you're saying that this could be something we could do for a while.
Yes.
And
Yes.
just try it, because also there's one woman who what's her, Nancy Simmons, yeah.
Mhm.
So she makes paintings that are just like eggs. She calls them ovoids, so they're like piled up stones.
Yes.
But they're colorful.
Yes.
And I guess a thing I like very, very much is color.
Yeah.
And so I don't know, I think of your list of things, I was thinking maybe I am interested in elements, like
Yeah. The elements.
I'm interested in movement, but I
Mhm.
haven't done that because I haven't been at a class of color. I think I have to think more, but
Yeah, well, no, I mean, it's great if you, even if you say color, a color exploration.
yeah.
And that can
might
be, yeah, that can take you in so many different directions. But again,
way,
that's,
right.
and you see, within the possibilities, there's something for everybody, it's, we don't all have to be angsty. We don't all have to respond to the war. We don't all have to be,
Right. Oh,
the more personal it is for you, the more you're likely to be, wanting to stay with it.
right, yeah.
Just driving, Sun's
color.
Doodles was a good one because it was like this, you said, who's more important to you than your kids, pretty much.
Right. No,
That was a driver. So in the personal is the universal. And the
Mhm.
more specific you can be, even like you could say, I'm going to explore the color red in all of its different possibilities. And within that, and, you can change, there's a lot you could do iterations. And so that word is the key word for our class, iteration,
right.
and
And I'm a
then,
walker too, so I'm gonna pay more attention. I mean, I do pay attention, but pay more attention about what I see.
yeah, yep. Okay, great. Laurel, tell us,
Well, when I started painting and doing landscapes, it was definitely about beauty. And I was, I kept trying to get away from it because it can be so cliched. And it's one of the reasons why I started doing more abstract work. And I did do some pieces related to war and actually related and climate change and even COVID, looking back. But I come back to beauty. I just do. I just can't seem to help myself.
that's fine.
And color is the thing that I really love in my life. I look around my house and it's like very colorful. I have a sunroom and it's full of flowers. That's what makes my day. So I think, and I do think it's, I probably should stop trying to resist it. And a lot of,
Yeah,
and I
go
have
for it.
painted flowers, and a lot of people say, paint flowers, you obviously love them and love painting them. And I paint them big, and I paint them in like, and I do sort of an abstract rendition of them. So I think I want to do, a series of flowers in probably a very colorful and robust way that pleases
Okay.
me, and see if anybody else likes them. Too bad if they don't. So I think that's probably my thing.
Yeah, and
Flowers.
I would say the more specific you can be too within that.
Right.
Is there a kind of flower?
Yeah.
Is it a flower in some place? Is the flower in a garden, or is it on, is it in a jar of water?
Right.
Where is it?
That's the point.
what are the stages of the flower? Is it when it's in
Right.
bud? Is it blossom? Is it when it's on the, dying? I mean, all these things are part of the flower.
Right.
So think
That's-
about that.
Think about that. Okay. Thank you. That's
Yeah,
great.
Yeah, Connie. Oops, you're muted. I'm sorry, I muted you. What's going on at your house today? Wait, you're still muted. Still muted. Still muted. Still muted.
It's because
There
I
she
really
is.
don't know what I have to say. Actually, I want to be playful in this. I want to relax. I want to feel, I'm feeling really uptight lately, and I want to really let this exercise be a source of inspiration to get me back. And I've been thinking, like, some of the classes, the one class that we took when I did the jelly prints with you. I love that so much. I have that big one and I have the smaller one. Thinking, I'd like to work with those again.
That's great. Yeah.
I'd like to just kind of get in the groove again, Adria. It's been a while, and I just feel, I think it's why I'm feeling the way I'm feeling, frankly. I actually do. It's because I've been so consumed with getting this house together, and now being out in the a country bumpkin now. It's just like, I don't know. I just have to get used to that. So if I could just kind of get into a creative groove again out here, I think I'd start to feel myself come back again, because I'm just kind of in a weird kind of place right now, just trying to figure out how I can activate it. But I really think playfulness, no pressure, the ideas of just kind of like what we're doing now, these spontaneous exercises, I just feel like I really need to, and yet I don't want to put too much pressure on myself either. I just, there's a balance here. So,
Well, I say this, that this class for the next 7 weeks is the place where you show up with your work in
Whatever
a
you're
group of
doing.
people that are very supportive of each other, because we're all on the same journey.
Yeah.
And that is the practice for the next 7 weeks. You know, you already have this group, and the group can extend afterwards, you know, either through with me or through some of you that wants to get together. It doesn't have to go away. Because, and I want to do this before we leave, I have a list of things that are very important for one's art practice. And one of those is art friends. But, but that sounds great, Connie. I mean, your thing could be playfulness. And
Yeah,
and that's fine. Yeah. It's and that, you know, the rule that you'll go with every time you sit down to do something is, I'm just going to see what happens. That's great. And then you show up every time we meet with, this is what happened this week. So, and that becomes your practice. But, you know, if you can just, it's sometimes helpful just to identify it, somehow give it parameters so that that becomes this, you know, way to center, to focus. Let's see, Tammy, last but not least.
So I've been thinking about easy beauty versus hard beauty, or like the stuff that feels like pretty, you know, like when you look at it on a surface level. Like and I feel like this is informed by like living in New York for far too long, where like not everything is pretty and not everything is easy, and it's more interesting and challenging to find beauty like literally in the gutter, or like on a gray day in like a junkyard, right? Rather than to just go to a garden, because garden is kind of like flowers, you know, or nature is sort of, you know, kind of beautiful in its own way. But like in the middle of winter, it's sort of like you look at a garden and everything looks dead. But if you see it as still beautiful, it's like it's more interesting. So that's that first question. So the project I think I'm thinking about is I'm in the house where I grew up, and my mom had been living here for like 40 years. And I feel like I did the first purge of the stuff that I clearly don't need. And that was definitely hers, and other people can use her clothes and some things like that, right? But there are all these like little corners and little things that I feel like are visual wallpaper or whatever. Like I've just seen it for a really long time, and I kind of don't want to move it or get rid of it because it's just been there for forever. But at the same time, I would like to maybe clear some things out or whatever. So I'm thinking of doing some kind of series of just things that just haven't moved for like 10 years.
That's very
And capture
interesting.
them before I do
Yeah,
anything.
that's like
you know?
documenting, you know, and documentation has become sort of a part of the lexicon of contemporary art making. You know, a lot of people, not a lot, I mean, but it is a kind of a genre, you know, and it, you know, it sort of is like you step back from the day to day, and you're a little bit less cyclically connected to it. Like you're looking at it with fresh eyes.
Yes.
And you're also then,
Exactly.
you know,
Exactly.
maybe there's a way that, yeah, that you, maybe it's a camera, maybe it's a watercolor. I don't know. We know something that you like to do, but that's great. That's a really interesting idea and very personal.
Yeah. And because I feel like I've been really good about taking all these emotional pictures of, you know, and like not throwing out anything that means anything to her. but now there's still like plenty of stuff in the house where like she wouldn't have cared if I had gotten rid of it while she was there. She probably wants me to get rid of it. And, so I like that they're like, I want to choose things that are not specifically inherently meaningful, but by doing something with them, I'll capture this, I'll document it. And,
Yeah, that's a very interesting idea. Great. Well, everybody has a very, we have a whole panoply of ideas here. It's very exciting. And I'm really looking forward to sort of all of us supporting each other for the next 7 weeks, just kind of seeing what happens, and I think you're going to all learn some, different things from each person's journey, and it's,
Adrian,
yeah.
I just want to ask a quick question. If I change my idea, I'm stealing from Tammy when I think about that. I mean, because my husband passed in 2017 and he was a jazz person. So I've saved all his jazz photographs, his jazz, whatever. I mean, his CD collection, but that's another way I could go. I could still be playful, but maybe introduce the jazz element. I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud, but just
think about it. Absolutely. I mean, music is actually, that's a whole thing. You could actually respond to jazz music each week, and let the music itself. And that's a great way to get more playful and kind of just let it all hang out. But
right. It would bring it into a more specific,
Yeah, right. Like, I think that was one of the things I said, a response to a piece of music or poetry or something like that, that's an also. And I missed a whole, thousands of different possibilities, but I was just kind of giving you, some parameters because it can really be overwhelming. I wanted to share with you before our time is up today, something else that I created, which was a list of the kinds of things that are important for a studio practice. Wait a minute, whoops, that's not the one. It's a list, okay, yeah. What do we need for successful art practice? And by successful means satisfying, something that really just feels, in fact, let me just change that, satisfying. I think satisfying is a better word. I just meant successful in that you were doing it. That is fine. Okay, great. Desire. Number one, you want to do this. That's really
Adria,
primary. Yes.
do you want your list for us to see it?
Oh, yes. You can't see it?
No, we see the syllabus.
Okay. Oops. All right. Let me just
Right.
write that down. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. I'm just going to get rid of that. Thank you for doing that. Okay. There we go. Okay. Share this again. Okay, how about that? Yeah?
Yes.
Okay. What do we need for a satisfying art practice? Desire. That's the first and the most important thing. You want to do this. And then an engaging purpose in there, topic, something that drives you, a curiosity, a kind of an excitement or an interest, goal. We can't ignore how important having a goal is. I mean, it's true for everything that we do. And, a goal could simply be coming to class and showing it to like-minded people. A goal could be that, a sort of self-imposed goal, like by next year at this time, I want to show my family, what I've been working on and have more than 5 things to show them. Or, that's very small. Another one could be, I want to have an exhibition of this work. I want to, whatever. I mean, so goals are important because, we do by ourselves working away day after day, it isn't enough. I don't think it's really enough for most people. I think there's a desire to share because it's a form of communication. And I would love to hear, your guys' thoughts about that. Technical knowledge. How do your materials work? So, he doesn't need to have to be a lot, but if or it could be the pursuit of technical knowledge. Like it could be, all right, I want to learn monoprinting. This is my goal is to learn monoprinting, and the work is going to be about joy, or something you already know enough about anyway to get started. Strategies to help move forward. What do you do when you're unsure? How to get unstuck and how to get going. And so that's what we're really going to learn in this class. Art friends. Yes, one person, two people, or somebody else who gets you, who's on your journey and who's not there to judge you. Like you don't want to show it to somebody who's gonna, what the heck are you doing that for? You don't want that. No, you want other people who are equally as impassioned about this, or at least get what you're doing and are supportive. Art friends, very important. I have several. I don't have a lot because I'm very careful about that. I've lost friends over people who don't get me because it's so important to me. I mean, that may not be you. Maybe I'm over,
Well, wait.
over.
No. I have a question.
Yes.
So there are art friends that you will show your artwork to just for feedback because you trust them.
Mhm.
But then there are also art friends that you will go to museums with
Mhm.
and you'll
Yeah.
look at art together.
Exactly.
And then there are other art friends that you just sort of know through other, media. I feel like there are many, many categories.
There are. I guess I was just talking about, people who, that you can show your work to as an audience. It's a
Art audience
form-
friends.
Yeah, a form
Yeah.
of communication that,
Yeah.
You're hoping that somebody else gets what you're trying to say and you're communicating. So, and not a judge, that's really different. Art dates, which are simply, a weekly date with yourself. It could be to read a book or to read a poem or to take a walk or to go to a museum or to do anything that feeds you, that nourishes that creative part of you. And I think we all have different things that we do, but that's also really important. And that's sort of like under the headline of, taking care, nurturing your art self, nurturing your art self, whatever that is for you. And it certainly doesn't have to have anything to do with visual art. It could be many other things. A walk in nature is always something that works for me. Could be many, many different things. And goal, again, the word goal comes up because, again, I think that is why a lot of people stop, because they don't have something in mind, they don't have something that is asking them to come, to have this work. Some people are lucky and they are able to sustain it and they're happy just doing it on their own. I have one friend that I know like that, but everybody else wants to have a way to get it out in the world. And that could be as simple as having an Instagram account. A lot of people hate social media and for good reason, but I do know, I have a student who and she was studying with me for something completely different. It was just, she wanted to learn how to draw. She's also a very public person. And she decided as we were ending our sessions together that she wanted to make sure that she showed up for her work. And so for her, starting an Instagram account was really important. And she didn't care how many people saw it. But she said, that's my goal, because if I don't have if I don't show up for myself, and I'm going to set myself a goal of showing something every single day, which is, that's a lot to ask. I mean, that's, that's really, that's like saying I'm going to exercise every day. And of course you're not going to do it because who does that? But, but if you say, oh, my goal is to put something up on Instagram once a week, it's that you show up for that, So it's simply like that, something like that. Maybe it's to send a photograph of what you've been doing to a close friend. I don't know, but something like that is good. So you can have to show up for somebody, and I guess that's as similar as having an audience.
So,
And
so
maybe-
wait, I'm sorry. So number 3 and number 8,
Yeah, because they're
are they
important.
different or are they?
No, they're this, it's like
No,
me.
because they could totally be different. Like you could have a goal about like where your project is going, and then you could have a goal for how your project is going to get out to the world,
Exactly. Well,
which is how I think you
goal,
kind of framed it.
goal anyway, you know, and what, and then just because I think that that's important and that is an essential thing. And it's kind of like, oh, I don't need to show that work. Well, but you know, if you think about it, it is a form of communication. And, you know, it's just a matter of where you decide to do that. That's all. It doesn't have to be public. It could just be that you show up in a group of people who are like-minded, or that you have a friend that you make a date because you want to make this part of your life, you know? So what do you guys think about this list? Agree, disagree?
Wow.
I agree.
I agree.
It's a great list. What I would put for myself
Yeah.
is trying to stay open,
Mm.
you
Mhm.
know, because I think we all get so darn busy
Yes.
that I block a lot of stuff that could be of useful in my artwork.
Staying open time-wise and also sort of, what would you say?
I don't know, receptive.
Receptive.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. And receptive. That's great, Tally. I love that.
Mm.
Yeah.
I would also add learning or surprising yourself.
I like that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And maybe that's under technical knowledge, because I feel like or not, you know, because I like the idea of knowing how the materials work, but then every so often you can still surprise yourself and you're like, oh, wait, I didn't know if you did this technique plus this technique, you would get something weird.
Yeah, no, I think it has its own, it deserves its own little number. I think.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. Anything else that you would add to this list? Okay, well, we can, you know, I send it to you. You can print it out if you want to, if you find it helpful. But it is, I think, you know, we're going to try to touch on all of these things during this class and, you know, see where we can go with it. So there's that. Great. So, as you saw from the syllabus, I'm leaving it open. And now that you've mentioned that you'd like to explore design, composition more, you know, that can certainly be something that we hone in on in one of the class exercises. Other ones that I have in mind to do are mark making. And some of you have done that with me, but I think that's can't be emphasized enough. You know, and that has a lot to do with seeing things as if for the first time, so that, you know, we are always, you know, visually very open. Yeah, so that's what I'm hoping to do in this class, and that, you know, when we get together, we will have a time where we'll show each other what happened in the last week. And that, as I said, that's important to do. Really is that you will, I know it sounds harsh, but you'll be letting the class down if you don't show up with it. But that's also a way to say you want an art practice that means consistency, and you do need to make space for it. So like anything else that we take really seriously, we're going to do the work. You know, it's not just talking about it or thinking about it, which I think a lot of people love to do. And people love to, I love it. People come out with these books on how to be creative. And it's like, shut the damn book.
Get out and do the work.
Step one, now that you bought this book, shut it, put it down, and go get a camera, a pencil, paintbrush, whatever it is, and do it. It's like, seriously. I mean, you have to laugh. So it's a trap we all fall into, you know, we all do. It's funny because we want to do this, but we procrastinate. You know, what is that about? You know, so it's the fear that we have about being judged by the world. But, you know, we're going to try to create this little space here in these next 7 weeks that is not the real world. It's this, it's a very special place where we're all, supporting each other to pursue this because we want to have it in our lives. We want to find out how to get it back, without pressure and without judging, and without all the other preconceptions, somebody approached me once. This was not good. She understood that I did do mentoring of people, and I do. But she said to me, I got really excited because I just took an art class. I put something up from the art class on one of these things, Saatchi or Etsy or whatever. She said, I sold it. And now I want to learn how to do more things that I can sell. And that clearly wasn't going to be, and we did not work together because that's not how I see this, I mean, that's something that can happen. Great. If you want to do that, that's after the fact. But the point is that you aren't going to get there, I mean, sure, we can sell our work and that's kind of easy to do. Like put it out there and put a price on it and go for it, but I don't think that that's what we're talking about here about the practice, because it's something deeper. It's not the product, it's that process, that's what we want, the engagement. And so this is about how do you get that engagement? And it's not easy to do. It's a longer term thing that, we work at it. And this is the work of the artist, of any kind of artist, whether it's, a poet or a writer or sculptor or filmmaker, you got to go through those steps and find what's meaningful to you so that is meaningful to somebody else. Yeah. Okay. My rant's over.
Thank you.
I love this. I have a platform.
It's a great list.
Yeah.
So I will send you guys an email with the thing to start how we're going to get started with our pursuit for the next 7 weeks.
Okay.
And that's what we'll do.
All right.
Okay, everybody. Great to see you all. I will send you the YouTube link for this recording.
Great.
Adria, is the next week this?
Laurel, don't go. Actually, hold on a second. Laurel, don't go. We can stay together and I'll help you get onto the Padlet. You have a second after class right now?
Okay, I don't have much time, but yeah.
Okay, but
I
it
can
won't
try.
take long. All right, I'm sorry, Connie. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, just one quick question.
Yeah.
Is this next class? Are we gonna what's our assignment?
I'm going to give it to you. I'm going to send it.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's just
okay.
sort of a rough, sort of
Contour
rough
drawings?
idea of what we're going to be doing. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Great.
Hey.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, everybody. Laurel,
Thank
hang on.
you.
We'll get you up on your
Bye-bye.
tablet here. Okay. Now, let me ask you a question. Are you able to get access Padlet on, what are you looking at me on
I
right now?
have an iPad.
You're all on your iPad. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's go back to that iPad Padlet page.
Okay, let me see. Hold on.
Sure.
Padlet. Okay, I'm on the Padlet page and I see the little 3 buttons on the side.
Okay.
Are you there? Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
It's interesting though, when I looked at this yesterday, there were also an icon with 3 people.
That's it.
And
Oh,
yeah, it's not there anymore, which is weird.
God, that's so weird.
Yeah. And it could, I don't know why it would happen, but I'm not in my house, I'm in my studio,
Oh,
and
okay.
my reception to the internet is not that good in the studio.
Oh, you know what? Then maybe that's why that didn't work, because so
Yeah.
what you want to do is just share with me your Padlet. And so there's a way that you can just invite me.
Right.
And-
Well, I did do it from my, oh, wait a second. I see share.
Ah.
I see share, but when I click on it, it just says share. And then underneath it says broadcast, QR code, copy link, embed, open in browser, open in another app.
Okay, no, all right, so that's not right. That's not what you want. You want
No.
to invite members.
Yeah. Yeah, when I did it at home and it came up with input new members. And I added you as a member with your address, and I saved it,
You saved it.
but maybe was I supposed to send it?
No, nope. So what happens when you do that is that Padlet sends me a little notification.
Mhm.
And that's what I was saying. I saw a couple other people's come through and I thought that was yours because it happened right like after you wrote to me. I'm
Yeah.
so sorry. I just didn't look carefully. I was on my phone.
Huh.
So I'll get a little note from them when you share it with me successfully.
Right. Well, wait a second. Let me try. Uh-oh, I just went back. And it's saying share, add members.
Add members.
Okay,
Good.
I click on add members. And I wrote in Adria Arch.
Then you should go look for me. So click, like do a return on that and you should see, hopefully you'll see my name come up. So when you
Yeah,
see it,
Adria
that's
Arch comes up.
good. Click on that.
Yeah,
Right.
all right. So
And then save it.
I click on that and yeah, but it just says Adria Arch. It doesn't look like an email address. It just
That's
says
right.
Adria Arch.
It's not.
Okay.
You don't have to email me. The company emails. me.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. So now I click save.
Yeah. Okay, and I'm just gonna go to my email and see if it came through. Laura.
Yeah.
I think you did it. Let's just make sure.
Okay.
Let me just go through this. I knew you were like, you're on the verge. You're almost there. So
Yeah.
we'll just see if we got this. Not yet, but sometimes it takes a seconds to do it. Hold on. Well, you certainly, yes, you did. Okay, you're in.
It went
Okay,
through. Okay.
you're done.
Good.
Perfect, we did it.
Okay.
Yay, thank you so
Okay.
much.
All right,
Laurel,
thank you.
thank you
All
again.
right.
And we'll
See you next week. Okay,
bye.
thank you.